Hey, Hiro,
Yo,
I'm going to do this thing. You ready?
yeah. Clinic, clinic,
Great
clinic.
jingle. I love
Oh,
it.
I know. Yeah,
All right. How's it going, buddy?
not bad. It's been a long
Good.
week. No,
Yeah.
weekend, isn't
It's,
it?
well, it is for you, yeah, but
Yeah.
mine's just starting. Hey, we got a really cool question today. I went ahead and did a little snoop around on Facebook, and I found this group called Kendo, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure a few people are familiar with.
All right.
And the question that came up on the post there, I won't say the person's name, essentially is asking whether or not when we train or when we compete against somebody in kendo, should we do it with the intent of killing them,
Mm.
right? So when we train or when we do jigeko, when we do shiai, should we be acting as if we're trying to kill them, if we were actually in a shinken shobu and we were actually trying to kill them? So when I saw that, I thought, oh, what a juicy conversation we could have about this. And to be fair, if any of the viewers wanted to check out that post, there's some really excellent comments that people are posting below with their own perspectives. But here we are, you and me, and
Yep.
this is our show, so we get to say what we
Say what
want
we
to
want.
say. We can do whatever we want. So here's the
Yeah.
question here. Should we,
Yo.
when we're doing Jigeko or Shiai, should we do Kendo with the intent to kill our opponent? What do you think?
Heck yeah.
That's not what you said off air.
Yeah, well, that's what used to senseis in Japan used to tell us. Like
Mm,
Kendo used to be Kenjutsu, right? Kenjutsu, like death and dead or alive situation. You try to
yeah,
kill others. You have to have that feeling.
yeah,
Yes, but along the way, here I
yeah,
am. I think, nah. Why
no,
do we want to kill your Kendo mates?
yeah,
Even in Jigeko, if you're in Jigeko, right? Jigeko, and
yeah,
you want to kill your Kendo mate?
yeah.
Yeah, I
But I
mean,
mean, the thing is that so philosophically, right? So we're talking about kendo is not a tickle fight. I always sort of say that when I'm running a training. It's going to be hard. It's going to be
yeah.
tough. It's going to hurt. And there should always be a little bit of enjoyment in a training. I mean, at the end of it, for any other reason, we want people to come back.
Hmm.
So if it's too bloody hard, then that's possibly off the table. But we've got to balance that with it's not a tickle fight, but so we're out there to sort of get points, and they represent, if you hit men or tsuki, for example, that
Hmm.
represents a pretty devastating attack that probably would kill you. But really, my question is, what does that do to your behavior, to your emotions, to your sort of physiological responses? If you're out there with a real attitude to try and kill someone, what tends to happen, I think, in my own experience, is that you lose your control, don't you?
Right. I mean, you had a hard training. Alex gave you hard training. Apparently, I did too.
Of your pet,
And-
don't you?
but we didn't intend to kill you.
We didn't
And
intend
we
to kill you. No.
and we went to no, you went to Osaka Taiko Daigaku. Very hard, training guys are there, right? Did you feel like they're trying to kill you?
No, not even
Right.
once.
Yeah.
No, no.
So I don't really know this mentality. I mean, yeah, Kendo was like Kenjutsu, and that's why we're that sport. Some people probably argue about argue like that, but I don't know, man.
So, but like, I mean, the thing is that you've got because the other half of this question, which I thought was really interesting, when I read the post was that you've got this other conversation that we have all the time in Kendo, and that's reigi, about reigi, right? So you begin with a rei or a bow to your opponent to say onegai shimasu, please train with me, and you finish with a rei, thank you for training with me, thank you for helping me to get better, etc. And you know, if you are, and I think this is the question that this person on Facebook is sort of getting to, how do you balance this idea that we have to go out and with the intent to kill and to avoid attacks as if we were avoiding getting killed ourselves, and balancing that with this idea of gratitude and appreciation, arigatou gozaimashita, onegai shimasu, and being polite and respectful to each other. I think we could dig really deep there, but just how does that work for you? Because you're saying that when you were growing up, your sensei, some of the scariest sensei, high summit people, some of the most scariest sensei I've ever come across would tell you that as a kid, and now you've grown up and you've moved away, seen different things.
Right.
How does it work for you?
Well, it does. Sometimes, I tell myself, all right, I have to have a lot of kia, right? Energy, fighting spirit. And actually, someone told me, you got to try to kill in your, exam. You have to have this fighting spirit. I just couldn't have that. I didn't even, I can't change my mindset trying to kill in sixth land exam.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So if someone has to, if there's someone you have to kill is kind of your weakness, yeah, that's understandable. You have to kill it, you have to remove it. Yeah, that's understandable. And then that's if you say, Kendo is removing the four sicknesses in your mind. Yeah, that works. That makes sense. But trying to kill your training partner, eventually, he's going to be sixth dan, and we have to help each other to go Kendo in this country, and I'm trying to kill him. It doesn't make sense at all to me.
Philosophically, it starts to fall apart a little bit. Like you asked before about my experience at Osaka Taiku Daigaku. One of the sensei that helped me a lot was Morioka sensei. Good dude, really good guy, and he talked a lot about his approach to training, in terms of, he framed it up as love. He had love for his opponent, because without them he couldn't get better. He would put the lens on himself, like, without these people putting their body on the line, I can't get better. But equally, with that idea, I'm helping them to get better.
Yeah.
And so the Shinken Shobu sort of attitude, or maybe if we asked him now, he'd say, oh yeah, it's there, it's part of it. But he would talk to me quite often about a different frame, a different set of different set of thoughts, and it was much more about trying to help people. And if we sort of throw back to the conversation that we had with Alex last week, about Kendo as a pathway or a michi for ningen keisei, for character development, and remembering the point that he made about that departure from kenjutsu being a way to train skills to kill or maim your opponent, to something when there was no need for shobu, shinken shobu, or anything like that, and it sort of changed into morphed into something a little bit different. I think that's the essence here. We, perhaps the roots of Kendo or Kenjutsu certainly had that sort of idea.
Right. You have to survive.
Yeah, exactly. But now none of us thankfully are in the situation where we have to, dig that deep for the essence. I think it's we're talking about hundreds of years of ningen keisei, not the trying to kill the other person sort of thinking. So I think possibly some people out there think, well, it's not a typical fight. We've got to go out in there. We've got to think like we're actually trying to kill or be killed, because that's the only two options. I don't know if I buy into that anymore. And if that was the case, I certainly wouldn't, dedicate a whole lot of years of training and research to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then, of
Yeah.
course, after training hard, you know how to hurt other, your training partner. You know, probably, a lot of people will. There are some nasty people out there too,
Mm,
and nasty techniques in kendo, of course.
mm,
That was kenjutsu ones, right?
mhm.
So there are things that I don't teach my students. You know, you probably know.
I've,
So
I've been there.
I don't teach I don't teach their things anymore.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, that's a bit different thing. If I want to hurt that training partner, I wouldn't just take Chudan to start with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
completely different mindset. I know probably that's analogy, I think. Analogy, or like, oh yeah, you have to have that fighting spirit. I understand that, but you see there's a lot of dangerous Shiai, for example. You see a lot of dangerous Shiai. We used to punch that,
Yeah.
left hand.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
You
guilty
don't
of
see
that.
that, yeah. You don't
Yeah.
see that anymore. Not
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
But and
So
then you go ahead.
that reminds me, this is super controversial. Ooh, super
Ooh.
controversial. Do you remember watching that clip, or have you ever seen that clip at the European Kendo Champs a few years ago, where the guy, someone was coming after him, so they'd separated from Hikiwaza or something. Yeah, they'd done a Hikiwaza and separated, and this guy chases after his opponent, and the other guy bends down. He didn't. He bent all the way down, put his head between the guy's legs, and flipped him up and over. Both. Um, they, they
I
quickly
saw.
removed that clip from
Yeah,
YouTube. I don't think it's easy to
yeah.
find anymore.
No, it's
Um,
not there anymore.
but is that an example? Like, we would all see that and think, not great, Kendall. We don't. Yeah, no. I think I would hazard a guess that 99% of people would see that and go, oh, that's not cool. Why'd you do that for?
Yeah.
But but if you were to take on the attitude that, well, kill or be killed, man. Yeah, it's fair game. I mean, chuck him on the ground, break his spirit, break his arm, whatever, as long as you win. But that's not what we do,
No.
right? I mean, you would go
So
to
yeah.
jail. It's interesting, man.
Yes.
Like when I lecture some of my students on morals and
Mhm.
character in sport, we often talk about how, for example, rugby. Right, I've got my So Kuro something up here, All Blacks t-shirt. When we talk about rugby as a full-on contact sport, and rugby league's the same. There's a whole bunch of sports that have the same sort of idea to it. But when we're on the field, when we're playing the game, there's this, what they call in the research, bracketed morality. So in the context of that game, almost not almost anything goes, because there's rules as well. But the way you behave and the things that you do to your opponents within the game is bracketed from what you would do in a normal social setting. For example, you wouldn't run up to somebody in the supermarket and drop the shoulder on them if they were going to take the last roll of toilet paper or something, right? But in the context of the game, we start to push those boundaries, right? We push the rules, and then the rules try and match that, and then the players in professional context try and push back. So it's always, being a professional sports person is about pushing those rules as far as you can without breaking them. And now clearly, like last week, we were talking about, is kendo a sport, or what have you. Put that conversation aside, Budo, sport, whatever. We still have the same approach. We still have this bracketed morality where you wouldn't normally, from Tsubazeriai, well, in close quarters, push someone in their chest or across their head and then belt it. But that's within the rules of the game that we play. The question is, are we doing that to cause them harm for our own benefit? to win the fight or for them to lose the fight or whatever it is. And is that okay with you outside of the dojo, off the floor? Is that how you want to be remembered, as treating people and so on? And for me, when I started thinking about that, I started thinking, actually, I don't like who I become sometimes when I'm being competitive. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. So that's great example. Like in Shiai, a lot of Kendo. I mean, I can talk about Kendo Shiai since when I was young. So I can talk about what we did. And I mean, it's not intentional, but because of this, younger fighting spirit, we did a lot. But one sensei, I'm not going to tell his name. One sensei said, you know, why can't we just, step back when your opponent is right on the edge of the shijo? We can step back and then say, come over here, man. Let's have Shiai right in the middle of the shijo. No, none of this kind of thing. We just go,
Yeah.
come on, come here, man. That's what
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
want to do. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
shove you out of the bloody
Yeah.
shijo. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
win like that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the kind of thing we want to learn from. If people say that's Buddha spirit, let's go. Okay. Say do. We're gonna do
Yeah.
this fair and square. Come.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna push
Yeah.
you out of the. I want to try my technique on you, and you do the
Yeah.
same to me.
Yeah.
Let's decide who's gonna win.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's cool, Sensei.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's what we want to do. We don't want to win, you know, punching or
No.
my
Yeah,
friend
and like I
actually
said,
was
I've
sweat.
been guilty of that. And I feel bad for doing that. Like when I reflect now on the sort of stuff that I did in order to get Ippon in a Shiai, I I know that I deliberately tried to hurt my opponent to
Mm,
distract them so that I could get Ippon.
right,
And I didn't learn that from you or anything like that. It's just something that became part of my kendo. And it's now that, because Alec last week was saying our journey, sort of the benefit of doing kendo is that we don't always have to be solely competitive. We take on different
right,
purposes for our kendo as we keep going. And now that I've sort of come past that competitive thing, I'm not really interested. Competition doesn't really spin my wheels anymore. I sort of reflect on what I used to do and think, oh, that was, can we, how could I have done that differently? And I
right.
remember one of my squad members in the New Zealand team. I won't mention his name, but he was up against a female Kenshi at one point in a club Shiai or some sort of inter club Shiai, something like that. And he was clearly bigger, stronger, and faster. And the conversation that I had to have with him afterwards, and it was great, teachable, coachable moment, was, can you win as a gentleman? Do you think that you could refight and do that fight again and win like a gentleman? And I'm not saying that I'm a pillar of like a great example. Like I said, I've done some dirty stuff in the shijo before, but those sorts of things for him, that conversation I think was quite sort of pivotal. Can I win doing nice stuff? Can I win doing things that I'm proud of? That I haven't gone out to deliberately sort of injure or hurt or distract in a sort of a unsportsmanlike. Can I say that?
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, that particular person is a top guy, but these are opportunities to rethink, how we do it. If we get too carried away,
Right.
who knows where we go? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, I think that there's enough people out there that say, well, competition, whatever, winning, don't really care. You hit me, I learn way more from that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the All Blacks, man, they say that success is a lousy teacher. You have to get hit, you have to lose points in order to get better.
Right.
Perhaps that's a much better sort of attitude to take. That's That's me on the other
Exactly.
side of competition, being able to say that. But I don't know. Where do you think you turned the corner?
Don't know. Probably very recent. I mean, I was for a long time. I really don't want to have anything to do with Shiai.
Yeah,
To be honest with you,
yeah,
uh, it's well, I really don't. If we Shia is great, Shia is motivation. I don't deny that at all. Shia is not something for a lot of people, especially younger people. They want to win Shia and a great motivation. That's why they train hard and they
mm,
learn new stuff. And but older guys, when they start late, Kindle late starters, they really don't want to be in Shia because little kids kick their butts. They don't like it.
yeah. Fair enough.
They're like, yeah, right. So, and I don't, one guy said, I don't know how to fight in Shia because I never
Yeah,
learned. That's true. I never
yeah,
teach.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But at the same time, you just do your kendo, and when you lose, just lose. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it's a reality.
yeah,
But it's hard to take, isn't it, for a lot of people?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So I probably, when I hear that kind of thing, and it's great. Shi for us probably is just as a part of enjoyment of Kindle. You just want to know where we are at the current level where we are. But for a lot of people, Shi, for older Kindle late starters, it's not really enjoyable apparently.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I start thinking about yeah, maybe we probably shouldn't be focusing on Shi too much
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
especially these guys.
yeah,
I think that's how it's
yeah,
changed my perspective.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, as you say, like motivations are different, and there's stuff to learn from Shiai, but I guess you can also
yeah,
you can consider your jigeko with a clubmate as a little sambon shobu just between the two of
right.
you, and still take away um, things like that. But as Stu says, the older you get, the kids start to run rings around you, like swatting little mosquitoes as you go.
Oh,
But I
okay,
think.
okay. Okay.
But that's the guts of it, right? Is at the end of the day, like, at some point, we're all in leadership senpai positions, whether it be based on age or based on experience or grade or whatever it is. Is that really the conversation we would normally have? Personally, I think most people, I would hope, would say, no, well, we want to nurture the next generation. We want them to
Right,
enjoy
right.
it. We want them to train hard and learn what they're capable of, and learn what their weaknesses are and what they need to improve
Mhm.
on, what their strengths are and what they need to keep doing. If we sort of have an attitude of, I'm going to kill you before you kill me, or whatever that sort of mindset is, whatever the variation of mindset is, I think it's
Yeah,
perfectly fine to take it seriously to a point. If we start to
right,
think about inflicting harm or thinking about that and taking that bracketed morality, that
right.
opportunity to have just a separate set of rules from the shopping mall in the dojo, we can do a little bit extra. It's a slippery slope, man. And as you said before, like at training at tie-dye, training in Japan in general, man, I saw some questionable practices,
Serious stuff, right?
stuff where it was clear, and this isn't necessarily just at tie-dye, this is all across the board, where it was sort of,
Yeah,
okay, I can see that senpai is trying to cause a little bit of pain to their kohai, and you sort of think, how sustainable is that in this day and age, right? Well, this is 2021, man. This is not 1940, 1950. With its a totally different attitude. So yeah, I think it's What's this one? But I'd rather lose against a better opponent than win against someone not trained against. Yeah, fair call. Fair call.
yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with going all out, but with the intent. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
What's your intent?
I mean,
To
yeah,
sort of
skill to kill. I mean, how can you if you have a kid? you're gonna tell your kid, like, okay, try to try to kill the guy,
Yeah,
and when you
that's
fight,
right. That's
I'm
right.
not gonna say that to my
Yeah,
kid
no,
at
no,
all.
yeah, no,
So
that's right. And
this,
whether it's to a kid or to a beginner or to somebody else, like, I mean, what's the, we talk about, we've got the poster on the wall in the dojo that says the concept of kendo.
yeah, discipline
Yeah,
human character, right? And,
yeah, yeah.
human character, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think if you turn that over, maybe it says something about it's all good if you want to try and kill them before they kill you. Obviously, it doesn't. Obviously, it doesn't have that sort of sentiment, right? So, yeah,
Right, right.
something to think about. But look, if you guys have any comments or questions that you want to chuck down below, please go
Yep.
ahead and do so. It's a fun conversation to have, and it always ties back. In some way, it ties back to its kendo sport. Is it not? Does it matter? What are the values of Budo? What were they, and what should they be now in contemporary society? Excellent,
Yeah.
very value heavy conversation. Anyway, man, hey, thank you very much for joining us, and we will catch you next week. As always, leave your questions or comments for us to have
Yep.
some stuff to talk about, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, you all.
Yes, cheers, mate.